Welcome back. Once again, we are at the Tucson Gallery for another installment of Meet the Artists. It's a segment we do every time we get one of these fabulous artists to spend a few minutes of their time with us here in the gallery. Today, we have a very famous author. Laura Streng is joining us. And of course, if you ever want to see the past episodes of other artists, you can head over to our website, tucsongallery.com. There's a section up there with all of our past episodes, and there's a newsletter sign up so you can find out when the artist will be live. We're in the Tucson Gallery at the proper shops of 300 East Congress. We're right across the street from Hotel Congress in the same block as the Rialto. So we are pretty darn cool. And speaking of pretty darn cool, we have the fabulous Laura Streng joining us today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. You're an artist. We're obligated to have you.
Artist, maybe not.
Well, I'm going to have you move that a little bit closer.
Okay.
And well, you are an artist. You have taken something that was a passion of yours, and you figured out a way to enlighten the world about it. I think that's what artists do. They enlighten the world about something they're passionate about.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I'm passionate about dogs, and I'm passionate about Connor.
All right. Well, let's talk. So a lot of our artists, they do painting and sculptures, and I think when we use the term artist, because I've written a book, you've written a book, and sometimes when they say we're artists, we're like, not really. It's not the same. But I don't know. You wrote a really cool book. It's called Connor Finds a Home. Mm-hmm. And I understand it's kind of a documentary, isn't it?
It is a true story. We left out some of the harsher details to make it a children's book of his initial finding of the home. But it's all true. And it's all written on him. Well,
so let's start at the beginning then. I know I don't usually like to give away the ending of a book, but this one kind of speaks for itself. So we might be giving the book away.
Yes.
This is not a thriller, but tell us a little about Connor, how Connor found a home and how that led to the book.
So Connor was, we got him from the Sanctuary Project, which at the time was a fostering program. And he was one of our third or fourth fosters. And he had kind of a very tragic story, and we got him when he was 4 months old. And then once he had to go through numerous surgeries, and I always just felt like he's going to feel like he's so abandoned because he's in the hospital for weeks on end. And so I would go and sit in the hospital and lay next to him and just wanted to see him and be next to him, knowing that I didn't want him to think he was alone. So that kind of led us to basically make it a foster fail. So Connor found his home because I just couldn't let him go. And Trevor knew how much I loved him. So we made him a home in our home.
And wasn't there some other homes that he was a part of?
He had a few other foster families before he came to us. And for some reason, he wasn't able to be adopted at that time because he didn't have his surgeries done. Mm-hmm. So we had to wait for his surgeries to be done. So, for some reason, we just got lucky enough to get him one time and fell in love with him, and that was it.
So he goes from being concerned he's going to be left alone to, I think I'm home. I've got my people. Mm-hmm. And so that is it's a story, and we hear that story often, thankfully, that the dogs get adopted. But somehow this turned into a book. So what kind of led you to do the book?
So the book was actually initially started as more of a passion project for Trevor. Trevor really loves doing this sort of thing, and I got into it because he was like, I just like the way that you write, and I like this. And I was like, okay, let's figure this out. Mm-hmm. So we did. And then we got Emily involved, who is our illustrator, and she is fantastic. That is one thing that I cannot do, is I cannot draw. But Emily has a gift.
And let's talk a little bit about Emily, because she does have a gift. She's a very special individual, and she loves Connor as well. Mm-hmm. And she's your neighbor?
No. So her dad and I have worked together for 10 years.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I've been telling people she's your neighbor. So if you bought a book and I told you he was your neighbor, then sorry about that. But there was a relationship, and she loves Connor.
Yes. She loves all dogs. She loves all animals. Her birthday is today. She's turning 22 today. And she is, she's autistic, and she's amazing at art, and she loves animals. So she works at the Kino School some days, and she helps in like their farm and all that kind of thing. And she's incredible.
So, and she started drawing pictures, I guess, of Connor. And that's kind of where sort of this idea to marry the story with her illustrations came from?
Yeah. So anytime like I was sick or one of the dogs were sick, I would talk to her dad at work and he would be like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And then like the next day, I'd have this cute little card drawn from Emily. And it was pictures of the dogs. And I was like, God, these pictures are so like heartwarming and just kind. Like you look at the pictures and they're kind. I don't know if you can describe it that way, but they are.
There's definitely a positive energy of every character that she draws. There's definitely this sense of happiness that comes from them. They're smiling and big eyes and usually a tongue hanging out. And for the dogs too.
Yes.
So then you decided. So Trevor, your husband, he's like, hey, I got this great idea. I'm going to write a book. I just need to help a little bit. And then all of a sudden, you're like, you know what? I'm taking over. I'm doing this. You're out. Was this like a hostile takeover? Was like, what's going on? You took my book.
No, he actually was all for it. He did everything else, though. I can say that I literally like wrote the story. However, he put it all together and put it on Amazon and did everything that he needed to do in that regard.
He's your producer, your publisher.
Yes.
He's the guy that makes it all happen.
Yeah.
Which is good because you need the talent to write, you need the talent to draw, and you need the talent to get it up and out to the world.
Yeah.
So I don't think
it was a collaborative effort.
Okay. And how long did it take you to write the story? Did it just pour out of you or did you keep going back and rewriting?
It initially just poured out of me because, I mean, I know it so well. It's our story. You know, there was no writer's block as most people would have, but this is a true story. So it just came very naturally because it was our life. And
then how did Emily illustrate it? Did she, because the book is so well laid out with a chunk of the story and a perfect illustration. So like, did that all happen naturally or I mean, like how did you? So
basically what we did was we printed out the words and then, printed out what we wanted on each page, and then we would give them to Emily and say, this is what we want. And some sort of direction as far as like, we want Connor with a bowl or we want this. And she just took it and ran with it. And she was amazing.
There's many illustrations. And my favorite is that moment when Connor comes home and there's balloons and a welcome home sign. And he's like, what is all this partying for? Like, what's this celebration for? And I still get like goosebumps thinking about that moment because it's so well drawn. It's so beautiful. The words are perfect. So that page, I mean, I'm a grown man, like getting goosebumps over a little children's book. So it might be made for more than just children. Well, that's nice. I hope it is. I feel like the story is made for more than just children. And so you've kind of taken this now and your primary profession is not as an author, as I understand it. Correct. So the proceeds you're getting from this, I know you're donating a lot of them back to local charities, but you're also taking this opportunity then to spread the story about fostering and adopting, and you're doing it in like a sneaky way because you're like reading this story to people, like, oh, it's story time, but then you're subtly putting in a message in there. That's kind of sneaky. Yeah, I mean, now that school is out, we haven't been doing it, but once school gets back in a few weeks, we've been going to some schools and reading to the kids. And I think that there's no better way than to start early so they know the benefits of this and being able to serve your community. Mm-hmm. And then they go home and they're like, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, guess what? And you're like, I don't know where they got that from. I was just doing a little story time. And I love the marketing, and this may have been Trevor's, but I love the marketing that you have a storybook that's been fully colored by Emily with her vision, but then you've also created a coloring book that allows people to be more interactive and create their own color vision for how the story turns out. Yeah, we thought that it would be nice because some kids maybe are getting this book and they can't read, so why not let them illustrate it themselves as far as like the colors that they want the dog to be. Maybe their dog is black. Maybe they want their dog to be white, who knows? But then they can kind of customize it for themselves. And let's talk about Connor. Has this all gone to his head? I mean, I saw he came in for the Meet the Artist night. He's wearing a tie. He's a little standoffish. He's like, do You have treats? I'm not talking to you if you don't have treats. I'm famous.
Yeah, he's kind of a big deal. I mean, in our house, he is a big deal.
Well, he's a big dog, so he's a big deal in any house.
That's true. We don't have his best friend, which is our Nala.
Uh-huh.
That's his tried and true best friend with us. Otherwise, he would be right next to her.
And Nala is the size of like 3 peanuts?
No, that's Karma.
Karma. Oh, okay. Okay.
Nala is the pit bull mix, so she's like a medium size.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have 3 dogs total.
Yes.
For the moment, because that's what I had this morning. But with you and Trevor, I never know if this afternoon.
Let's hope we stay at 3 for a little while. They get expensive.
Yeah, I understand that. And then, can you talk just a little bit about the message of the book? And obviously, it's a pretty clear story about fostering and adopting, but the services that are out there that you support that are doing things the right way that need help from others?
I feel like there are so many as far as that need help. I feel like they all do at this point. I mean, you can even look at PAC and they need help. There's always a need. You got to spay and neuter your pets. Like, that's just the end of it. Like, we have over 400 right now, I think, at PAC. But on Facebook,
400 animals or
400 dogs.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So I think that just from like the smallest thing, or like even like we were involved with a foster,
like a group of people that get together.
Yes,
like
it was a
collective, a cult.
It was a nonprofit. It was a nonprofit, and
it's a cult. It's a
it's like a cult. It's like a cult. Yeah, we all love dogs, and we just do everything we can.
Some leader blindly.
It's just crazy.
Now I have 3 dogs. That is a cult.
But there's plenty of like fostering opportunities. Even if you cannot keep a dog, you can always foster. A lot of like with the pandemic, there was a ton of people that were bringing in dogs as far as fostering.
Have you fostered successfully other dogs?
We have.
And what's that process like then? How long do you have them?
It depends. So it depends on first the dog's needs. If it's a dog that needs surgery, then obviously you're going to have them a little bit longer. If it is a dog that is literally just waiting for its perfect match, then it could be a couple weeks. It could be a month. You never know. We had one before Connor, and it was a black lab. His name was Harley. And when we gave him back, everybody's like, "Oh God, how do you do this? How do you give them back?" And I'm like, "Well, it's not giving them back. It's giving them to a family that you know is going to love and always keep them and safe and just adore them." So yes, it is hard. And yes, we cried. Trevor and I both cried our eyes out when we gave Harley back. But we knew he was going to a family that would be there for him forever. So in that regard, when you're fostering, you know that that family has been checked out and you know that they're going to love that dog forever. So that makes it a lot easier.
Do you ever get a chance to see Harley, or do you ever like stalk him at the dog park?
No, I wish I did though. I've tried to find him on Facebook.
Oh, so you're not connected with the family then? No. You're working through an agency. They say, "Hey, it's time. We've got a family for Harley." You cry for a while, give some hugs and kisses and treats, and then Harley goes, and you don't know ultimately where Harley ends up.
Right. But you do know that they have gone through an application process. It's not just like, here, have this dog. So I know that they're going to a great family, but I may or may not know the family. So
I wonder if, because I know for the human side of things, there's services where you can put your name out there and say, "Hey, I'm adopted," and if people can say, "Well, I put up a child for adoption," and sometimes they meet through this service. I wonder if there's anything for the dog fostering world, or you can put out there and say, "Hey, foster these dogs."
That'd be great, because I'd love to see them.
There you go. We can. So now Connor Finds a Home is going to be. We're going to write another book about how Connor reunites with Harley. That's going to be the.
I know,
that's going to be the sequel.
Gosh, we've got plenty of sequels, I'm sure, in Trevor's brain.
Yeah, I don't doubt that, and the love that you have and the care that you take for the pups, and it's phenomenal. And we love selling the book in the gallery because it is a true story. It's a Tucson story. It's a story that a lot of people are familiar with, but the art really brings it home. The words, the illustrations, of course, but just the way it's put together. It's called Connor Finds a Home. And I know you had a website, or do you have a website? Or
yeah, it's connorfindsahome.com. connorfindsahome.com.
Okay. And then I know there's social media. They can follow you on Instagram and Facebook and stuff.
Yep, Connor Finds a Home.
That's pretty hard to track down.
You're right.
And where else? Are there other places selling the book? Like, can they get them at any, like, does PAC have any or?
No, not yet.
So
they can buy them on Amazon.
Exclusive at the Tucson Gallery.
Yes.
Connor Finds a Home. And we're lucky enough to have Connor visiting us tonight as part of the Meet the Artist event. So we get to meet the artist and the subject. He has not told us yet whether he's signing autographs, but we're hoping he will see to signing a couple.
I'm sure he'll be okay with that.
And on the website, there's information about the book, but also the true pictures of Connor and and all of that.
Mm-hmm. It's also on the back of the book too.
Okay.
Because a lot of kids like that, to see the actual pictures of the dogs.
And again, it's not just kids. I talk to adults and they look this and I show them the back and I'm like, this is a true story. And I show them your photo and that's Connor. And then they read your bio and then Emily's bio and they just fall in love with this project. It's just really, I mean, it's just it is a true passion project and you've knocked it out of the park.
Thank you. We really love it.
Well, Laura's one of these fabulous artists that we get to talk to and interact with down here at the Tucson Gallery. Just about every week, we have an artist that will grace us with their time, and they do a Meet the Artist event. They're typically on Fridays from 6 to 8 p.m. If you head over to our website, thetucsongallery.com, there is a calendar of events and a newsletter that comes out once a month that you can sign up to receive and get notifications of the artist events, VIP events, special nights, music. We recently did a pop-up, which was really well received, and that's all that information will get sent to you via that newsletter. And I think probably the biggest thing, though, is knowing when these artists are going to be in the gallery live and you have a chance to interact with them. But Laura, I really appreciate your time and appreciate your effort to put together Connor's story.
Well, thank you for having us.